This is simply going to be a thank you video. So I'm not going to be talking about the controversy or any of the negative things that have been going on, because personally I don't think I have the mental or emotional capacity and or strength to really just put my energy into something like that right now. So, and I want to try my darn hardest to keep the comments section a civil place, because I know that people have very, very strong opinions on everything that's been going on, and your opinions are valid. Everyone is valid in being disappointed. Everyone is valid in their opinions, and I'm not going to talk about any of that, because I want this video to be a safe place and just a more positive vibe, because it's basically just going to be a thank you from me to the FNaF community, as well as Scott Cawthon. As most of you probably know, if you're watching this video and or if you've watched probably the many other videos that are coming out right now by other FNaF content creators, or just content creators that have had FNaF in their life, you've probably known by now that Scott has officially said he is retiring. And while this doesn't mean that Five Nights at Freddy's is over, it still is kind of a gut punch, because if you think about it, he's been the driving force behind 7 years of Five Nights at Freddy's. He is the one man who alone created Five Nights at Freddy's as a whim. He went out on a whim and just created Five Nights at Freddy's 1 because it was his last-ditch effort before giving up on game development. And 7 years later, it's incredible the impact that that series has had on so many people, including myself, which I will get more into detail about that in a bit. I'm sorry if I get emotional, because it's really just Five Nights at Freddy's has been such a big part of my life. But yeah, just a massive thank you to Scott Cawthon for creating Five Nights at Freddy's, and also for being a really overall down-to-earth and very genuine human being. Like, in my opinion, and this is my personal opinion, I think that Scott at heart is a good person. Everybody makes mistakes, everybody offends people in some way, whether that's through their opinions or their actions or their statements. I can guarantee you not a single person on this planet hasn't offended at least one other by something they've done or said. That being said, I still, I have criticisms, and I'll keep them to myself, because again, that's not what this video is about. I do have my own criticisms about some of his decisions, and people who also have their criticisms are completely valid. Like, I do not disagree with you. Overall, I think that he is still a very kind and gentle person, and the way I've seen him interact with his community is probably the kindest, most human, and like just genuine, I guess. Genuine is the best word to use. He's just so genuine with his fan base. And he's probably been the only game developer I've ever seen in my entire life to be so in touch with his community and to be so involved, which is so refreshing, because, not a lot of game developers are that way. They don't take the time to respond to emails of young kids that are telling you how inspired they are by your work. They don't take time to donate to beautiful and wonderful, productive charities that are helping minorities and helping animals and helping, the ones who need help in the world. And just, I don't see a lot of that from other game developers, and that's something I've always admired, is that he is very kind and generous to his fan base. I mean, whenever we complain about not getting a game on time, he literally makes a whole nother game. I mean, what was Fury's Rage, right? We were all sitting here like, security breach is delayed again, I mean, not everyone was that way, but you know there were a few people, right? But, any other game developer or game development company probably would have just been like, yeah, sorry, it's coming, just another delay, so be it. But here comes Scott, and he literally spends his time and his hours that he could have been spending with his family or relaxing or doing literally anything else, and he spent it to make an entirely like complete mini game that was actually really funny and kind of amusing. And you know, like he's just different, you know, he just goes the extra mile as a game developer. And that's something that I've always admired as well, is his effort and his ability to just whip these incredible projects out, just out of the blue. Sorry the game's delayed, but here's a whole nother game for your, you know, pleasure. Like, that's so cool to me that he does something like that for his fandom and his community. Like, that's just still really amazing to me that he's able to pull stuff off like that. Again, everyone makes mistakes, and the point of this video is not to invalidate anyone's opinions against him. Everyone has their own opinions, and again, I'm not going to touch that because I don't want to upset anyone, and I just want this to be my personal, like, thank you and my personal views a little bit, to just kind of like get it out, you know, because it's good to not keep things bottled up. I'm just kind of here to talk to you guys and let you know my thoughts without trying to dig into the whole controversy and, you know, deal with all that, because I don't have the energy, and I'm sure that a lot of you guys don't either, because it's exhausting. It's hard to see, it's hard to watch, and it's just, I want to move on from that. Just in general, I guess my point is that I still have some respect for Scott and everything that he has done that's been good for the world and the Five Nights at Freddy's community. I still think that a lot of the things he's done are incredible and very admirable and very respectable, and I will never forget the good things he's done. And now to transition to probably what's gonna make me cry like a baby if I if I talk about it, the way that FNaF has impacted my life. I can't even say that sentence without like starting to get all choked up and all like, ugh. It's crazy to think that one little like point and click indie horror game just kickstarted my whole, like literally my career. Like my career is this and music production. Like, that's what I do now, and I love it. Like, I wouldn't have it any other way. Like, this is perfect. Like, I love my job. I love you guys. I love sharing my art with the world. Oh. If you hear rumbling, it's these giant helicopters and airplanes flying over carrying, like, water buckets and, like, the powder, the red powder they drop for the fires. They keep crossing over to refuel and they come back. So if you hear background noise, that's what's going on. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, there's currently 3 or 4 fires right now that are super huge in Arizona, because I live in Arizona. Thankfully, I'm nowhere near them as of right now, but they are spreading. But they're more towards like Globe in Miami. I'm good. I'm fine. Just wanted to let you guys know so that you know why there's random like rumbling sounds out of nowhere. If the camera's even picking that up, I'm not sure. I could just sound crazy. But anyway, back to what I was talking about. Five Nights at Freddy's, I was terrified of it when I first saw it. Like, I saw it through Markiplier's channel because I had been watching Markiplier for maybe like a year and a half before Five Nights at Freddy's came out. I had been watching Markiplier since Slender Man, when I was going through like a creepypasta phase, and I was obsessed with Slender Man. Like, his lore was so neat to me that I was like finding any YouTubers I could and watching them play every single game because I was like so into it. Slender Man was like my Five Nights at Freddy's before Five Nights at Freddy's. Like, I was that into Slender Man. So I finally like got up the courage to watch Markiplier play through Five Nights at Freddy's 1, and I was like holding my pillow. I was like curled up on the couch all scared because like I just hated the idea of like these Chuck E. Cheese robots just like coming after you in the dead of night. Like, it was so weird. Like, it was such a weird idea to me, but it worked. Like, it made me terrified, and I was like, I was hooked. As soon as I watched Markiplier play through the whole first game, I was like, oh, this is good. This is great. I love this game. Like, it's weird, but I'm into it. Especially when like the weird like posters started appearing, or like the police reports were showing up on the walls, and then like Golden Freddy and all that. I was like, oh, there's more to this game than just like screaming and flashing lights. I'm like, this is so neat. So then I got my friends into it, which at the time were Oodles of Noodles and one other person who has actually never appeared on the channel. but we all three were kind of into it growing up. And the two of them, I think, have since kind of like found other interests, but I'm the diehard. I'm the one who stayed in the fandom because I have no life. We were kind of into it, the three of us, and I choreographed a dance about the first or second Five Nights at Freddy's for my school talent show, and the three of us performed it together. So like, it was literally like, even since I was a kid, it was like the spawn of my creation, like the spawn of my creativity. Like, it was where I started getting really into choreographing and getting into dancing. I mean, I had been dancing since I could walk because I just couldn't stop moving. But like, Five Nights at Freddy's was what, like, the story inspired me to start choreographing stories and like dances. And then once I got to like my middle school, I started thinking of like music composition, and I started getting into songwriting and writing lyrics and downloading these like music software like programs so that I could start learning how to make songs about Five Nights at Freddy's. Like, I was so into the story and so into like the fear and the tension and the scariness of the story that I was like, I was ready to like just start making fan-made projects for it, because that's how much it inspired me. By the time I got to high school, I had learned the ropes basically on how to start producing my own music, and I started releasing songs. In fact, I think I released my first song when I was still in middle school. So I've been making music for years now, but it all started because of Five Nights at Freddy's. Like, literally, that is the reason I was like, hey, I want to write like a creepy song about like Bonnie. And then, you know, like, it just happened. So it's like really weird but amazing to think of how one tiny little game, 5 nights long, inspired everything that I've done over the past 7 years. Like, I remember when the second Five Nights at Freddy's came out, I didn't even know it was coming, but I was very happy that it did, because I was like, whoa, there's more! And then, you know, the story just kept getting more and more like cryptid and more like interesting, and I was like, man, I'm hooked. Like, I want another game. And then Five Nights at Freddy's 3 came out, and that one I beat in like 2 days because Springtrap's a big dum-dum. It's very easy to beat. Even in FNaF VR Help Wanted today, his IA, his AI is still exactly the same, so it's very easy to beat him because he's big dumb. But I loved that game. I loved the hidden mini games and like pressing tiles on the wall. It was like, it was groundbreaking to me. I was like, I've never seen this in like any video game ever. Like, this is great. And like FNaF 4 came out, and I hated that one because it was too close to my own childhood of like having nightmares about like monsters under your bed or like creeping out of the closet. I was like, oh no, this one, ugh. Like, you have to like stick your head out of the dark doorway and listen for breathing in your ear hole. Ugh. I hated that. I still hate that game to this day. It's still the one that like gets me the most, because it's like, you can't see, you're just sticking your head out of a door and hoping that nothing chomps it off. But I love that game so much. And then of course Sister Location blew everything out of the water, because now there was voice acting, there were characters that had actual storytelling elements that they told you themselves, like Circus Baby, and it was just, I was blown away. I was like, oh my god, could this series get any better? And then FNaF 6 came out, the Pizzeria Simulator, which was a complete surprise to everyone because it wasn't even announced, it just came out. People thought it was just another little like spoof game, like a mini game, and then everything glitches and suddenly you're in an actual simulator with an actual underlying lore related story. And like, that was also very cool. And then of course Ultimate Custom Night, that one was more of just like a funny like a gag, but I still love that one. I loved the anime cutscenes. They were good. I believe after that it was FNaF VR. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure like the next big project was FNaF VR. And oh my god, that is the best thing ever. I love that game. To this day, I still play it for fun. That's the only Five Nights at Freddy's game that I still play in my spare time, because everything's kind of in one place, so it's kind of like a cheater's way to say that you play all the FNaF games still. but I just love being in that environment, and I also love throwing basketballs at Glitchtrap and crashing my game. He has a okay, there's a story. Pause the sappiness, pause the stories of how much I love Five Nights at Freddy's, and let's just talk about me absolutely destroying Glitchtrap's face with basketballs, because it's my favorite thing to do. So there was this one day that one of my friends was over, and she got a basketball from Prize Corner, or Prize Counter. I don't know what it's called in FNaF VR. I think it's Prize Counter. But she comes back and she holds it up to Glitchtrap and throws it at him, and then the game crashed. Like, blue screen. It was dead. It was gone. He said bye. Like, it was crashed. And so I got worried for a second, because I was like, I hope it didn't corrupt my data, because I just beat that game. But we reloaded the game and it was fine. Everything was still in place, but he never came back. He never came back for days. He never spawned back in the little like menu select area, like where the stage is and everything. He never came back. He was scarred. He ran and he never came back until finally, like a week later, I was playing the game and he came back and I was like, oh, hello, like you came back. You got over the basketball fiasco. I'm proud of you. And then I went to the prize counter to test a theory. I pressed the basketball button, and before the little claw could drop it, the game crashed. It was like, oh no. I can literally grab any other item, a cockroach, a Helpy plushie, an action figure, a snack, it's fine. But as soon as I grab a basketball, the game crashes. So now we have this running joke that he has a phobia of basketballs being thrown at him. So every time I play the game now, I make an effort to try and get a basketball and throw it at him before the game has time to crash. And it is the best thing. Like, literally, I don't even need to play the actual game anymore. I just get into the game so that I can throw a basketball at him and feel better about my life. That's literally it. That's FNaF VR Help Wanted for me now. It was such a funny coincidence that still continues to this day that, like, it's just amazing. It's amazing. It really is. But back to talking about actual Five Nights at Freddy's and its impact on my life. But I figured that would just be a fun little uplifting, funny story to tell in the middle of all of this. So, in general, like, the story of Five Nights at Freddy's has been one of the most fascinating things to me ever. Like, it seems a little, like, hokey in places, and it's a little weird, but, like, honestly, that's kind of the charm of it. I love that there's both, like, paranormal and science, like actual science. Like, if you read the Fazbear Frights Stitch Wraith pages, it is actually very educational. Like, you find out some pretty interesting things about science and, like, scientists who have made very, very, like, mind-boggling discoveries about, like, the way energy works. And I mean, like, even the autobiography of a yogi, like, excerpt that came from the Night 5 phone call in Five Nights at Freddy's 1. So, like, science and the supernatural and, like, energy and all that has been around since, like, the first game, and I find that very, very fascinating. Like, that's just so, like, interesting, you know? But just, like, the charm of the story and the characters and even the funny side of Five Nights at Freddy's, where it takes itself less seriously, like, the whole franchise is just such a blessing to me. Like, it blessed my life. Like, really, it's so fun and so scary and so interesting to learn more about. Like, it's something that you always want more of. Like, you want more of the story. You want to know what happened to these characters. You want to know what's going to happen to William Afton and if he's going to keep coming back, because Jesus, there's only so many times this guy can come back before he's literally just a pile of sludge. I mean, come on. Like, what? I really love seeing people illustrate their, like, hypotheses about what he's gonna look like in Security Breach if he does physically come back. And it's just literally black sludge. Like, it's just perfect. But it's been so fun to follow over the years. And I can't wait to see where it goes from here, because if Scott is going to pass the torch down to someone, I hope it's a very worthy someone. It's like passing Thor's hammer down to someone. That has to be a worthy person. Otherwise they can't pick up the hammer, you know? Sorry, Marvel geeked for a second. You know, I really hope that whoever is in charge of, you know, what Scott used to be in charge of takes their, responsibility very seriously and has as much passion and has as much love for this series as Scott did. Kind of interested and excited to see where it goes from here, because I know that Steel Wool is still working on Security Breach, and who knows, maybe they will be in charge of the Five Nights at Freddy's games from now on. Well, goodbye, water bottle. Sorry, I'm violently hand gesturing. I'm knocking things off of my desk. Kind of excited to see where it goes from here. It's really sad to see Scott go, but honestly, he deserves a break. He's been doing this for 7 years. His wife is pregnant. He's got lots of kids that he probably wants to spend more time with as they grow up, because kids grow up fast. You blink and they're graduating from college. So I don't blame him for wanting to step back and finally, take some time to just relax, decompress, be with his family, and be out of the spotlight for a minute. Because when you are popular amongst a community or a fan base, it starts getting really sticky. It starts getting kind of tricky to not be stressed or not be worried that people are going to scrutinize and analyze absolutely everything you do or say. So, and it can take a toll on you after a while. So it's very healthy, I think, that he's retiring. I completely support his decision. I know that he's doing what's best for him, and I wish him and his family the best. And I also want to congratulate him on his new little baby, because that's so cute. I'm excited for his family and the new baby, and I wish him the best of luck with everything he does in his future. And yeah, just thank you, Scott, for being such an inspiration and opening the gates for so many content creators and animators and artists. Your impact on the community has been so big and so meaningful, and I am very grateful for that. Congratulations on a worthy and well-deserved retirement, because you've done a lot of incredible work and it's well-deserved. Yeah, Five Nights at Freddy's has literally been a big part of my growth, not only just as an artist and a content creator, but also just as a person. Meeting people through the FNaF community has been so impactful on who I am, what I believe in, even things like my sexuality and who I am in terms of my identity and being comfortable in my own skin. Meeting people through that fandom really taught me a lot about myself. I gained confidence. I gained the personal strength to discover who I was and what I like and what I wanted to do as a career. And it's crazy to think that one game series and one fandom has opened up the doors to so many opportunities for me in terms of growth and just everything. It's crazy to think about, but when I really think about it, it's true. This little horror game series is the reason I really discovered who I was and what I wanted to do for a living. And I'm sure it has touched a lot of other people this way too. I mean, just from the posts I've seen other people making, it's helped, this series has helped people get out of depression, out of self-harm, out of really bad, unhealthy habits, and it's helped people turn their lives around and discover new things that they want to do, whether it's in the arts or, programming, or, it just helped so many people heal and grow. And I think that's just a really beautiful thing. This community is just one of a kind. I've never in my life been in a fandom that's been this diverse and this open and this, creative and talented. This is such a beautiful community and fandom to exist in, and I am so happy to be a part of it. And I mean, if it weren't for Five Nights at Freddy's and Security Breach, I wouldn't be making an album or an entire film series. So if it weren't for Scott and his work, you guys wouldn't even see me right now. I would not be here. I mean, I might have been, but it would have been such a different context and such a different vibe, So to think that because of this series, I'm releasing a film production that I did, that I wrote, that I produced, that I directed, is so it's crazy, but it's amazing. And same thing with the album and how much I've grown in the field of music production. Like, I get a little choked up when I listen to my old stuff, because even though it sounds a little bit like nails on a chalkboard to me now, like, it gives me perspective. Like, it really shows me how much I've grown in just like 3 years. Like, it's crazy. It's crazy. So I just wanted to say a big thank you to Scott Cawthon for everything that you've done and everything that you've taught me, everything that you've inspired me to do. And thank you to the FNaF community as well for, you know, accepting me as a content creator and supporting me through all of these really cool projects I never thought I would be able to do, but that I always dreamed of doing as a kid. So thank you so much for everything, and I love you guys so much. And I hope that we can all just breathe and move past this stress and just look on to the bright future and, you know, be the best versions of us that we can be. But yeah, so thank you all so much for watching. Always remember to stay bright because you're a star, and I will see you all next time.